till dawn slips through broken blind lines. Cold hands wrap around this coffee cup. Old vinyl hums like a tired ghost. Quiet room holds what we won't say. We talk like strangers in the same bed. Guarded truths like glass we dared not drop. I loved you in the dark, afraid of what the light would show. We read between lines, never the page. Two soft lies pressed into one heart. I loved you in the dark. You wanted me strong, always unshaken. I tried to be your missing piece. Hero mask on, my face fading. Night rain tap time on the glass. The weight of words unsaid grew heavier. We rehearsed love scenes, forgot who wrote them. I loved you in the dark, afraid of what the light would show. Your eyes begged me to fix your ghost. I lost myself chasing your broken stars. I loved you in the dark. One night our room felt like a street. I reached for your hand, it trembled. For a breath your guard fell down. Then silence roared louder than any truth. Love dies quiet when we stay silent. Parallel lives brush, never turn toward. Now I walk slow through empty doorways, photographs shaking in my tired hands. Waited, you didn't come back home. My fault sits heavy in each step. I loved you in the dark, afraid of how little we both knew. Fading light shows dust on our vows. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. Quiet rooms echo all we never were. I loved you in the dark. I loved you in the dark. I close the door soft and leave us there. Night rain slides down the tired glass. Shadows crawl across this quiet room. Your chair waits, cold hands on air. I breathe slow, tasting our old lives. We We spoke in smiles, soft words with sharp edges. Each trembling breath hid the truth breaking underneath. I loved you in the spaces between the words we never said. Photographs shaking in my fading light. I waited, you didn't come back. I loved you in the spaces. You would nod, eyes lost in distance. I played calm, a mask of stone. Empty doorways held our unreturned calls. We feared truth more than the end. We spoke in pieces, each sentence half finished. Our quiet rooms drowned out the honest sound. I loved you in the spaces where your soft yes hid your doubt. Cold hands touched, still holding back storms. If I had spoken, would you stay? I loved you in the spaces. The last fight started with nothing much. Forgotten words lit years of dry hurt. Your gaze cracked night rain inside your eyes. The heartbreak slow, then all at once I saw our love thin as wet glass, too late to hold what never lived. Now days stretch thin, washed in gray light. I walk through rooms we never filled. Every silence hums with what we buried. My fault echoes louder than your name. I loved you in the spaces where fear stood shut our open mouths. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. Fading light falls on your empty side. I waited, you didn't come back. I loved you in the spaces. I keep our quiet ruin folded small inside me. Night leaks through the cracked blinds, slow fading light on my cold hands. Quiet room, couch spring sigh beneath. Your ghost sits where your body was. I waited for words, my tongue stayed stone. You watched the door, already halfway gone. I loved you in the dark, afraid to switch on the light. Photographs shaking in my tired hands, trembling breath lost in the night rain. I loved you in the dark. We drew soft lines around our fears, spoken hints, not the hard truth. You were near, yet so far. Empty doorways framed our almost home. I held my questions, you held your keys. Both of us praying silence might somehow heal. I loved you in the dark, afraid to switch on the light. Traced a life we never named, my fault. I smiled and played along. I loved you in the dark. Thunder rolled low, the windows cried. You said you were tired of our mask. Love without truth is just a cage. You're cold and slipped from my reach. You didn't come back, I stayed still. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? Now the hum of the world moves on. Unreturned calls die in my throat. I see the man you needed gone. I would have held you longer with truth. I loved you in the dark, too late to switch on the light. Night rain writes your name on the glass. Every quiet one repeats my fault. We had a chance, we chose our fear. I loved you in the dark. I sit with what we buried, not what broke. Fading light on this cracked old glass. Cold hands trace our smiling photograph. Quiet rooms hold our soft false words. We build walls from what you needed. I waited for your real voice to shake, but my own trembling breath stayed still. I loved you in silence, that was goodbye. Night rain on the pane, slow and gray. Photographs shaking though my hands seem calm. Empty doorways framed where your shape once stood. I loved you in silence, that was goodbye. You said yes to all my plans. Your far off eyes told some of the truth. I nodded through your bright made futures. My fault, I hid my real rose. I waited for one brave honest word, but I wishes we thought you wanted. Unreturned calls now ring through my chest. I loved you in silence, that was goodbye. That night was plain, but it broke. Your soft voice asked why I stayed masked. You mourn the ghost you thought I was. Can't love, cannot breathe behind a borrowed face. Oh, if I had spoken, would you have stayed? I would have held you longer, true. Now the frame's blurred colors run down. Like strangers in our own past. The chasm we fed with every small lie opens wide, there is no bridge left. I loved you in silence, that was goodbye. Too late to walk back through that door. Fading light folds over what we were. You didn't come back, I don't blame you, my fault. I loved your reflection more, I loved you in silence. That was goodbye. Night rain on the old glass door, fading light on the cracked gray street. Cold hands in my frayed coat sleeves. I wait where our first words live. Your small half smile haunts this quiet corner still. I chased that ghost, never reached your eyes. I loved you in silence, like photographs shaking in my chest. Empty doorways where our names once echoed. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? I loved you in silence. You wanted strength, I gave you stone. I wanted warmth, you turned to shade. We spoke of days, never our hearts. Two soft lies shared the same bed. Your tired eyes begged for some small truth. My trembling breath broke, but nothing came. I loved you in silence, like night rain hiding each wet tear. We sat so close, a world between us. If I had spoken, you might have known I loved you in silence. We were a play with no last lines. Curtain fell on words we never tried. Fear is love wearing someone else's face. Unreturned calls ring on in my head. You didn't come back, I don't blame you. My fault was the quiet I chose. Now the shop is bright, my chest is dark. I trace our ghost lives on this table. I see the man I try to be, and the one I never let you meet. I loved you in silence, a fading light no hand could shield. Too late to mend the glass we shattered. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. I carry your absence like a slow song. I loved you in silence. I leave with nothing except the words unsaid. Night rain slides down the old glass. Street lamp paints gold on your door. I sit outside our fading warmth. Cold hands hide what I won't say. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? Or just watch my trembling breath vanish? I loved you in silence, fading light on your leaving face. Empty doorway swallowing my name whole. My fault hangs like smoke in this room. I loved you in silence. Walked on cracks we never named. Soft smiles, eyes fixed on the floor. Your hand in mine felt distant. Quiet rooms learned all our lies. If I had spoken, would you have broken? Or held my trembling breath in yours? I loved you in silence. Photographs shaking in my damp hands. Unreturned calls ring through my chest. Too late to give our ghost voices. I loved you in silence. You folded your doubts into small bags. Night rain tapped time on the glass. The clock hummed over every lost word. I waited, you didn't come back. Truth is a risk, not a crime. I would have held you longer, just once. Now the air smells like your absence. Each step echoes through quiet rooms. I see how fear dressed up as care, how we hid to not die alone. I loved you in silence, fading like crowns this empty place. My fault lives deep in my ribs. Too late to learn how to speak. Two hearts freed but shattered apart. I loved you in silence. Tonight I keep the hurt and let you go.
Night rain starts as I leave the bus. Cold hands hide deep inside my coat. Your old street glows in fading light. Every step feels like a small lie. I wore that steady face you needed, but my trembling breath gave me away. I loved you in whispers. Quiet rooms held what I never said. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. If I had spoken by your side, I loved you in whispers. First day warm mugs and soft laughs. I claimed big dreams, stayed safely small. You smiled, thought you knew my heart. I feared the fall, played brave instead. You asked for space, I gave you distance. I waited, you didn't come back. I loved you in whispers. Empty doorways watched us drift apart. Unreturned calls weighed heavy on my chest. My fault was silence dressed as care. I loved you in whispers. Your window glows, a pale night star. My phone stays dark inside my hand. The street moves on, never looking back. Our love died slow, afraid of light. Truth unspoken is still a choice. I hear that line echo through rain. I see your walls shaped like mine, both of us scared of a bare soul. Too late to trade masks for truth. The bus arrives, I step away. I loved you in whispers. Fading light blurs the life we missed. If I had spoken, held you longer, maybe our fear could have broken. Now I just ride through the quiet. I loved you in whispers, I leave you to the silence we created together.
Cold hands on the cracked cement step, fading light stains the empty glass door. Night rain taps soft on my shoes. Your name hangs pale in my mouth. We wore our silence like some shining shield. Never saw the walls grow high between us. We loved each other in silence. Careful words hid the fear inside. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. If I had spoken, you might have stayed. We loved each other in silence. I recall your long broken pauses. Your eyes drifted past my quiet face. We danced around what we both needed. I waited, you didn't come back. We held our tongues like they were saving us. Never felt the ground slip out beneath. We loved each other in silence. Last night plays back in blurred shadows. Trembling breath caught on unspoken truth. My fault sits heavy in this cold air. We loved each other in silence. You searched the floor, I scanned the ceiling. Two ghosts alive in the same dim room. Too late is a door that never opens. I was afraid to need you. I whispered. Your empty chair does not answer back. We lost everything in the quiet. Now the cafe sleeps behind dark glass. Empty doorways frame our missing years. Time walks on, it does not look back. I carry you under this fragile skin. We loved each other in silence. Streetlights flicker on our faded scene. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. Night rain hides the sound of my regret. I love you still, but only in memory. We loved each other in silence. rise from the steps and leave you gently behind. Night rain taps on the fog glass. Our old seat waits in the dim light. Cold hands wrap round a fading cup. Your ghost laughs low from that chair. I shaped my voice to fit your silence. Held my storms back, called them calm. I loved you in the silent spaces between the words we never said. Photographs shaking in my tied hands. I waited, you did not come back. I loved you in the silent spaces. You had that laugh when you were scared. Eyes would slide off when truth came close. Matched your steps, hid my doubt. Let quiet rooms swallow our names. We talked all night, never touched the wound. Every soft joke stitched one more wall. I loved you in the silent spaces between the words we never said. Night rain blurred the streetlights outside. On return calls rang through my chest. I loved you in the silent spaces. The last night your eyes were so tired. No rage, just love that had gone thin. My hand on yours felt like a stranger. You whispered, this hurts more than leaving. Yeah, the truth came late, softer than any lie. Our greatest fault was the quiet we chose. Now I sit where our first glance lived. Fading light paints you on empty air. If I had spoken, if I had begged, I would have held you longer than fear. I love you in the silent spaces where trembling breath tried to form your name. Too late, the doorway held only shadow. My fault hangs heavy in this still room. I carry the love that never breathed. I loved you in the silent spaces. I walk home alone, letting the silence answer. Night rain hums through the cracked window. Cold hands wrap round a dead cup. Fading light stains the quiet walls. Your name sits dry on my tongue. Every word we save now fills this room. I hear what we hid in each silence. I loved you most when I was afraid. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. We smile like glass about to break. Two soft lies pressed close in the dark. I loved you most when I was afraid. We danced round truth on fragile steps. Unreturned calls, I blame the night. You forced a smile, I looked away. My fault lived deep behind my teeth. Every word we choke now haunts this room. I hear what we buried in silence. I loved you more when I was afraid. Your eyes asked more than I could show. You bent your light to fit my shade. Too late I saw the cost we paid. I loved you most when I was afraid. You said you were tired of pretending. Your trembling breath broke through my armor. Truth is a blade we never lifted. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? I would have held you longer, unmasked it. But love was already walking out slow. Now quiet rooms hold our softest ghosts. Empty doorways watch me pass each night. I waited, you didn't come back home. Our shadow love stays, but you are gone. I loved you most when I was afraid. Fading light falls where your body slept. My fault echoes through these hollow halls. We broke on words we never let speak. Too late to learn the shape of us. I loved you most when I was afraid. In this still room, silence forgives nothing. Sunday light on the coffee steam. Your chair waves, cold hands on mine. Rain dots slide down the glass. I breathe slow, tasting your name. Quiet rooms hold every word we buried deep. My fault hangs low in the fading light. I would have held you longer if
If I'd spoken that night, night rain tapped on our breaking walls. Photograph shaking in my trembling breath, I would have held you longer. You smile soft, your eyes look tired. We played parts in that small place. I waited, you didn't come back. Silence grew sharp between each breath. Quiet rooms echo all we never said. My fault lingers here in the fading light. I would have held you longer if I'd spoken my fear. Empty doorways watched us come undone. Unreturned calls drowned in the night rain. I would have held you longer. We loved each other only as shadows, too afraid to meet the open light. Your cold hand slipped out of my reach. No grand fight, just soft surrender. Love dies in silence, I learned alone. I trace your ghost in the fog glass. In that bare room, you look through me. Your eyes knew we were already gone. One last touch, a quiet shared blame. Our whole life cracked in one slow breath. I would have held you longer if I'd spoken the truth. Fading light crossed your leaving face. All our dreams folded into quiet dust. I stand outside, night rain on my skin. I would have held you longer. I let you go, but the silence stays. Late light spills through dusty blinds. Shadows crawl across the worn floor. Cold hands hold a blurred photograph. Our half smiles shaking fading light. Quiet rooms remember every unreturned call and pause. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? I loved you in shadows, needed your light. The night slept soft on our thin walls. We slept back to back, miles apart. My fault was silence where truth should live. I loved you in shadows, needed your light. We moved like guests in our own home. Your eyes asked things mine turned from. You traced my face with quiet doubt. I changed the subject, hid my fear. Those trembling breaths held all you never said. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. I loved you in shadows, needed your light. Zipper's footsteps echoed down the empty hall. You closed the door, I swallowed your name. Too late to mend the fragile threads. I loved you in shadows, needed your light. Days blurred slow in that hollow place. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. I kept you guessing till you disappeared. Your name burned soft, a wound embalmed. I waited, you didn't come back home. Our last language was silence, not goodbye. Now I sit inside this quiet wreckage. Dust hangs thick where our plans once lived. I see how we love by guessing. Truth came after you, we're already gone. I loved you in shadows, needed your light. Empty doorways hold the shape you left. Every missed word rings louder than fights. My fault, I chose fear over your trust. If I had spoken, you might be here. I loved you in shadows, needed your light. I talk to the dust, it answers with silence. Night rain taps on the coffee glass. Dim light shakes on my cold hands. Empty cup, your chair stays bare. Our old laughs blur in fading light. I taste the words I never spoke. Each quiet breath feels like my fault. I loved you where my voice broke. In quiet rooms our shadows kissed walls. We held our fears like fragile glass. Too late to say the truth now. I loved you where my voice broke. Strong eyes hiding their storms. I play calm, my trembling breath masked.
each step on glass. Empty doorways grew between goodbyes. I count unreturned calls in the dark. Every silence says what I would not. I loved you where my voice broke. Streetlights framed you in the cold glow. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. If I had spoken, would you stay? I loved you where my voice broke. Love built on hush has no ground. Our sweet restraint became our cage. I waited, you didn't come back home. Silence is a slow goodbye I learned. Your name still hangs in the night rain. My heart answers but no one hears. Now I see the cost of soft lies. I held a mask, not your heart. We loved the ghosts we drew inside. Truth came late, found only your absence. I loved you where my voice broke. Under night rain by that closed door. My fault lives there in the still air. I would have held you longer, unafraid, if I had bared each hidden fear. I loved you where my voice broke. I whisper your name to the rain, too late.
Night rain blurs the yellow streets. Cold coffee breath, weak and stale. Empty doorway holds its quiet shape. I wait, but you don't come. Photographs shaking in my tired hands tonight. Your smile looks truer than it ever was. I loved you in the space between our half words and trembling breath. Shadows where we hid our real names. Soft light stacked like a house shaking. I loved you in the spaces. We played roles in quiet rooms. You turned to ice, I turned mild. We laughed so loud to hide cracks. Each unasked question built that wall. Your voice still echoes down these quiet halls. Every unspoken truth hits harder now. I loved you in the spaces where your cold eyes begged me to see, where my slow hands never reached yours.
We sat so close, miles apart. I loved you in the spaces. Last time here you felt like smoke. Your chair held your ghost, not you. My hand moved once, you pulled away. Love dies in silence, my mind whispered. I never risked the fragile truths. You never showed the soft you hid. Now the empty chair is my judge. Fading light crawls up the stained wall. I feel the weight of words unsaid. Too late to learn who you were. I loved you in the spaces, in the pause before you turned your face, in each unreturned call, each night rain. If I had spoken, I'd have held you longer. We loved in shadows, afraid of the truth. I loved you in the spaces. I sit with your silence, my fault. Night rain leans on the fog glass. Our old seats wait in this dim light. Cold hands wrap round a paper cup. Your laugh hangs faint in the quiet air. We spoke in half-truths with soft, brave eyes. Build gentle walls, never dared to fall. I loved you silently, and it broke us. Fading light on your almost smile. Trembling breath held back my real words. If I had spoken, would you have stayed? I loved you silently, and it broke us. Every smile felt like a stage scene. We moved like ghosts through quiet rooms. I stayed late, you said you were fine. Empty doorways knew more than we did. We hid our wild hearts behind careful lines. Unreturned calls fill the space we feared. I loved you silently, and it broke us. Night rain wrote names on the dark glass. Photographs shaking in my tired hands. You waited for touch gave. I loved you silently, and it broke us. Your voice on that last midnight call, thin as ice, ready to break. Short love dies when truth stays quiet. I asked if you ever wanted me. The pause was longer than our years. Too late, the line fell cold and still. Days pass slow like long gray trains. Each one pulls you further from reach. I see us dancing wide, afraid of touch. We saved our hearts and lost our love. I loved you silently, and it broke us. Fading light stains the place we chose. My fault lives in each unsaid word. I would have held you longer, unafraid. If I had spoken, you might have stayed. I loved you silently, and it broke us. I leave the shop, your shadow walks beside